Poor children. Don't do that to my brother. Our second speaker, speaking from a traditional manual. In other words, down with pathway, right? Advanced Communication Series. The manual is advanced manual storytelling. Speech purpose: to tell a folk tale that is entertaining and enjoyable for a specific age group. To use vivid imagery and voice to enhance. Our Toastmaster is a competent communicator and a John Maxwell certified trainer, coach, and speaker. The timing of the speech, 7 to 9 minutes. Mr. Timer. 7 to 9. 7, 8, 9.
The green's at 7 minutes, the yellow is at 8 minutes, and the red is at 9 minutes with 30-second deviation.
Title of the speech: The Blind Man and the Hunter. Please help me welcome to the lectern, Tolu Famayoa.
Once upon a time, there was a blind man. This blind man was very clever, to the extent that people from neighboring village come to visit this blind man to ask for advice. He would give them advice, and this advice was so useful for their lives to the extent that their lives were transformed for good. Before you know it, villages that were far from the blind man's village heard about this news, and they migrated to this particular village to hear more about how wise this blind man is. As time goes, it turns out that so many people migrated from the far village to this blind man village just to get good advice, because the advice is always good. And they will ask him, blind man, why is it that you're so wise? He would say, because I see with my ears. After a while, this blind man had a sister, and she got married to a hunter from the far village. Before you know it, the hunter moved from his village to the blind man's village, and specifically living in the same house with the blind man. It turned out that the blind man didn't get along with the hunter, because the hunter think he was the smartest person on earth. He goes to the forest to kill animals for a living. But the blind man cannot see. He will tell the blind man, what's the use of a blind man who cannot see anything? So many times the blind man will approach the hunter and tell him, can I follow you to the farm to hunt? And the hunter will always look at the blind man and say, what is the use of a blind man who cannot see? How would you catch a particular animal? The blind man did not give up. He kept asking and asking and asking. This happened for days, weeks, months, and years. On a particular day, this hunter came back from hunting. He came back with a fat antelope. The wife cooked this antelope. They ate the food. During eating, they had good conversations, and the hunter had the opportunity to hear about the life history of this blind man, because the blind man had so many wisdom to share. And at the end of the day, the hunter was very impressed and said, very well, blind man, tomorrow we'll go hunting together. The blind man woke up very early in the morning. He was very excited to go to hunt with this particular hunter, which is his brother-in-law, basically. They woke up very early in the morning. They started walking. They worked for hours and hours and hours. While they were going, all of a sudden, The blind man said, shh, there's a lion over there. The hunter thought it was a joke. He didn't listen to him. He kept walking. The blind man said again, there's a lion over there. Although this lion is fast asleep and eating, we should be careful, because if we wake this lion up, we're going to be in trouble. The hunter thought it was a joke, and he kept walking. He was just walking anyhow, and to his surprise, he saw the lion up, sleeping and snoring. Then he turned to the blind man. How are you able to see that there's a lion up there if you cannot see with your two eyes? He told him again, because I see with my ears. They kept walking. They got to a particular place, and the hunter said, this is where we're going to set our traps so that we can catch bird. They had two traps, right? The hunter brought his own trap out, set a trap on the ground. The blind man also set his own trap on the ground. They left for the day and they went back home. When they got home, they were so excited, looking forward to the next day, so that they can see if their trap is going to catch any bird for that particular day. The following day, they woke up early. The blind man was at the back initially, but all of a sudden, the blind man was in the front, walking like he knew the path to the farm. And the hunter tried to pull him back and said, well, you don't know, you can't see. Where are you? Why are you in the front? To his utmost surprise, this blind man knew the path to the forest. They walked hours and hours, and he was able to make all the turn accurate. They got to where they set the trap. Immediately, the hunter saw that the blind man's trap already caught a bird that is big and beautiful, with green crimson feathers. Very attractive bird. On the other side, the trap that belongs to the hunter had a small gray bird. The hunter said to himself, this is a blind man. He's not able to distinguish between the very beautiful bird and the small bird. So what did he do? He said he was just going to switch the two birds. And he took the hunter's beautiful bird and big bird for himself and gave the blind man the small gray bird. After this, we were walking home, trying to go back to the village. There was silence. Nobody was talking. The blind man didn't say anything. The hunter decided to break the silence by asking, blind man, you said you're so wise, but you cannot see. Why is it that there's so many hatred, war, and anger in the world? The blind man said, because the world is full of so many people like you who will take what is not theirs. Immediately, the hunter started shaking. He moved a little bit to the back, and eventually he took the big bird that was brightly colored, green, crimson, gold. He gave it back to the old bird, and he took the gray one that originally belongs to him. And they started walking again, they started walking back home. The hunter asked another question. Blind man, why is it that there's so many love, kindness, and forgiveness in this world? The old man said, the blind man said, because the world is full of so many people like you who have learned from their mistakes. They kept walking back home, and from that day onward, when anybody asked this old man, why is it that you're so warm? The old man will put his hand around, the hunter will put his hand around the blind man and say, because he sees with his ears and hears with his heart. Toastmaster.